ghosts are moving tonight. Restless, hungry. I mean, they haven't eaten in hours, days even. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lord Damian MacDonovan, pirate, vampire, necromancer, demonologist, and you are about to begin your journey with me through 11.5 hours of classic horror. For I shall be your host on this, the second annual RCN TV Halloween Horror Movie Marathon. I'm also having a bit of a party to go along with it, here in my ancestral home of Castle Donovan. A haunted castle party. Isn't that amusing? There'll be ghosts and guts and blood and even a few murders. And if any of you will spend the next 11.5 hours here in my ancestral home, I shall give you each $10,000. What? We weren't approved for that kind of budget? Blast! Come on, there's only gotta be like 3 people watching this thing? Well, what do we have? Seriously? Sorry, creeps. No dough for you. Maybe next year if our GoFundMe page gets viral and we get a Patreon out of it. In the meantime, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Ah, but here come my other guests. It's quite a motley crew, isn't it? And I should know. I captained a cursed pirate ship for a while. But that's a story for another time. Joining me tonight are a few notable guests from some of the films we'll be watching. I wanted kind of a cross-section. From plant to zombie, from drunk to jet pilot, from vampires to vampires. Alright, it's not that big a cross-section. Look, it's only our second time doing this, okay, so we're a little limited as to our guests. Fortunately, I've taken extra precautions to ensure that we have no Yuletide visitors like last year. Alright, back to me, my show. First up tonight, we have a classic film from 1959 by William Castle and starring Vincent Price. A fantastic bit of cinema that, despite its lapse into public domain, was so popular and influential that it actually encouraged Alfred Hitchcock to produce probably his most famous film, Psycho. Unfortunately, Norman Bates was unable to attend my little shindig this year. Well, the party's starting now, and you have until 11 p.m. to watch The House on Haunted Hill. That is, unless, of course, you're TiVoing this. Then I suppose you can watch it anytime you like, really. Ah, saved by the bell. You, go watch the movie. I'll tend to my guests. Ah, welcome back, my little critters, to the RCN TV Halloween Horror Movie Marathon with yours truly, Damian MacDonovan. And welcome back to my little haunted house party. I'd introduce you to the other guests, but, I don't really care to. Did you enjoy your stay in the House on Haunted Hill? It really is one of my favorite films. I do love this movie. The atmosphere is great, the music is superb, except for some of the unnecessary maniacal laughter. The story is fine, the twist ending is clever, and Vincent Price is as charming as always. You know, not many people realize this, but the woman playing Ruth Bridges is actually Robert Mitchum's sister. You can really see the family resemblance too. around the mouth and eyes. Just imagine that face on the other end of the phone during Cape Fear. Oh, where are my manners? More tea, Dr. Trent. Oh, that's right. You had scotch and soda? Well, I think I'm going to have something with a little more bite to it. Arsenic on the rocks, anyone?
No.
Well, as I was saying, one of my favorite things about this film is how uneven and cheesy it actually gets. Some of the acting is superb with Vincent Price, his usual suave and cheeky self, whereas some of the acting is just god-awful.
While you're up, dear, would you mind pouring me something?
Certainly. What will you have? Alright, that does it. Who the devil is trying to crash my party? I hate uninvited guests. You.
Who?
Him, the man.
What man?
The man with the power.
What power?
The power of hoodoo?
Hoodoo? You do?
Do what?
No. The phantom figure following around the heroine of our next feature film. I left you off the guest list for a reason. Get out. You hear me? Get out and don't come back into this castle again.
Good God, what was that thing?
That was no man. No mere phantom either. We'll have to check on this and make sure he's taken care of. Sorry guys, looks like this party is on hold. There's a spooky mystery to solve.
Ruh-roh.
Why can't I go one Halloween without castle invaders? Well, in the meantime, you stay put, my ghoulies, and check out our next feature film, 1962's Carnival of Souls. Now, I, Lord Damian MacDonovan, host of the RCN TV Halloween Horror Movie Marathon. We've got to do something about that long title. Have thee! And contained within this magic seal, I have thrice named thee Gatecrasher, the Uninvited, Party Pooper, and yet the extent of thine atrocities and abomination are yet to be seen. I compel thee, by the sigil that contains thee, by the bonds that hold thee, by the demonic forces that empower me to keep thee in check, I command thee, tell me thy name, monster! No, it can't be. No such thing exists.
What is it?
Who is he? What he shows us matters not. Oh, he lies. Do not think to deceive me, Pale One. I have tangled with and banished far worse than the likes of you. Leave thy tricks in thy pockets, deceiver. Give me thy name. So it is true. You have crossed over. I will not allow you to spread your shadowy tendrils across this land, Thin One. I shall end thee here and now!
Damian, what is he?
Taker of children, I know thee. Reveal to us thy true form. Valentine! Is everybody all right?
A little freaked out, but yes.
Okay, well, excellent. Now that that's taken care of, and rather early I might add, we can get on with the festivities, shall we?
I don't think it's been taken care of.
What do you mean?
They're here.
no. The toxic fumes given off by Slenderman's demise must somehow be causing the entombed around my ancestral castle to rise from their graves, like Return of the Living Dead. Quick, play the movie so that we can figure out how to get rid of them.
We don't have that one.
Seriously? Alright, play the movie it was ripping off, Night of the Living Dead from 1968. And you, try not to get bitten. Welcome back, creeps. As you can see, we are holding our own against the hordes of the undead that we, or rather I, Lord Damian MacDonovan, unleashed prior to our last film. It had some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that the ghouls in Romero's Night of the Living Dead were not animated in the same way that these creatures were. So watching that film did nothing to help us. The good news is that they are still dying fairly easily compared to the things in Return, which just keep coming. And since we're out in the middle of nowhere, having transported MacDonovan to the sticks of Pennsylvania a long time ago, we should have no trouble burning these bodies. Now, whereas Romero's original and official sequels included commentary on social and political issues, O'Bannon's Return of the Living Dead seemed to primarily be a critique of drug addiction of the 1980s, what with the zombies constantly needing to feed on brains in order to subdue the pain of death. I keep waiting for Pee Wee Herman to show up with a tiny little bottle saying, "This is crack."
Damian!
Oh! How goes the slaughter?
Not bad. Kind of fun, actually.
Aye, what better way to spend your Halloween than fighting off a few gross zombies?
They are pretty disgusting.
No, you fool, gross. It's a unit of measurement.
Really? I never heard of that one before.
Yeah, it's 144. It's like a dozen of a dozen or something. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Have we lost anyone?
No, but the problem we're having now is that there's so many of them. We're starting to wear down.
Aye. And I used up a great deal of my resources and energy containing our uninvited guest in the first place. Oh, look out! Well, I think we've got this outbreak pretty well contained for now. It should probably take about another hour or so to clean this up. In the meantime, why don't we continue on the Halloween movie marathon here on RCN TV with another film about the dead rising from the grave. Except this time, it's vampires, created by a plague, and they're out to get Vincent Price, who returns to our programming as the last man on Earth. Oh, welcome back, creeps. Whew, what a night we've had. A William Castle, a haunted castle party, a seance / spirit summoning, a zombie outbreak, and lots of Vincent Price. Well, as you can see, things are pretty much back to normal around here. All of my guests have gone home for the night, and I am left to clean up the mess. I suppose you're wondering how we got rid of the last of the ghouls. Well, don't worry. The enchantments around the castle have been fortified so as to stay standing during the blast. Hey, I look after my ancestral home. It might be a ruin, but it's my ruin. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get that 2:30 feeling. Or in this case, I suppose it's that 3:20 feeling. But there is still more to come. Up next on the RCN TV Halloween Horror Movie Marathon, we bring you a new film. At least it's new to our collection. We present the very first vampire flick, a rip-off of Bram Stoker's Dracula. In fact, you might call this the film that should not be, as all copies of it were ordered to be destroyed after Stoker's wife sued for copyright infringement. Yet, much like Dracula himself, it seems nearly impossible to annihilate it completely. Stick around after the movie if you can stay up this late and through a silent film, for I, Lord Damian MacDonovan, will be bringing you something really special afterwards. The first in a new series we hope will finally put the proverbial nail in Edward Cullen's coffin. Until then, sit back and enjoy 1922's Nosferatu. Welcome back, boils and ghouls, to the RCN TV Halloween Horror Movie Marathon. Thank you for sticking around with me after Count Orlok's demise, and welcome to the very first ever episode of That's Not a Vampire, the series in which I, Lord Damian MacDonovan, will vidi classic vampire films and compare them to the things in Twilight. Oh, excuse me, I think I just threw up in my mouth a little. I know, I'm a few years late to latch onto the Twilight hate, but my technology is limited and it's taken me this long to catch up. Besides, it's taken me this long also to cool down enough to talk about it without careening into a demonic bloodlust of righteous anger! And so, the purpose of this and future segments will be to hammer the final nail in the coffin, as the saying goes, and prove once and for all that the creatures in the popular series of teen fantasy and romance novels and movies are not vampires. To do this, I have started a chart in which I will document the traits of famous vampires throughout movie history. Comparing and contrasting these traits, we will then see how the Cullen clan matches up to these infernal standards. Alright, well, here we've got the full list of all the things we can compare with Nosferatu versus Twilight. As you can see, they do actually have a lot of things in common, including many of their powers, except that some of the things that Nosferatu can do, only gifted creatures in Twilight can do. Here up in appearances, we see some of the basic differences. The skin color of Nosferatu is pale, whereas Twilight's sparkle. Isn't that that's a My Little Pony, isn't it? Let's see. Nosferatu has fangs, although they are his front two teeth, and the things in Twilight have serrated, venomous teeth. Let's see. They both cast reflections, they show up on film, they have shadows. Here we go. Nosferatu is hideous, whereas Twilight are inhumanly beautiful. Nosferatu turns to dust when killed, whereas Twilights apparently can reconstruct themselves. They also have very different weaknesses, apparently, whereas Nosferatu is bound by most of the rules of vampires, the stake, sunlight, fire, decapitation, holy symbols, and they even follow the invitation rule. None of these things apply to Twilight, and sunlight, again, only makes them sparkle. Let's see here. Now, feeding and siring, they both do drink blood. However, only Nosferatu apparently drinks human blood, whereas the things in Twilight live primarily off of animals. Also, let's see here, Nosferatu is clearly infertile, whereas Twilight tends to move towards the males, can only mate with human females very rarely. Humans are turned in Twilight because of the venom, whereas Nosferatu, it's just from the bite. Well, let's see here. Also, it would appear that something else they do have in common is that the bite is painful to their victims on both parts. Well, there you have it. Well, this comparison isn't quite as definitive as I had hoped it would be. Of course, some of the more basic and obvious differences are made quite clear here. I just hope that future segments will help to finally can this teen fantasy for good. Well, with that, I'm going to bid you farewell. I'm turning in. Good morning. Hello? What was that? We have 3 more movies to play. Sunday morning sci-fi? Well, what do they plan on calling it when they rerun this thing Monday morning? I see. Curses. Well, creeps, it looks like I'm going to be stuck here for a little while longer. I kind of thought my presentation was going to be the last of it, but apparently not. Well, speaking of things that are clearly not, but are trying to be vampires, here is stock footage of Bela Lugosi, the legendary Dracula actor, in Ed Wood's The Ghoul Goes West. Oh, I'm sorry. Plan 9 from Outer Space. Welcome back, Crypt Kickers, to the RCN TV Halloween Horror Movie Marathon, with yours truly, Lord Damian MacDonovan. Oh, pardon me. I know we did this last year, but I'm not used to being up this late. Well, late for me, anyway. Incidentally, sorry about the mess, but this is what happens when you host party after party and then pass out for weeks on end. I've tried to have maids in, but I insist they do the work while I'm awake, and nobody wants to work third shift in a gloomy old ruin of a castle. Enough of that! 2 more movies to go. Now, let's see, how can I link our previous and our next movie while I separate and cook this bacon? Bacon. Bacon! Kevin Bacon!
Sir, I don't think we can afford having Mr. Bacon on the show.
No, not the actor, the game, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, where you link Kevin Bacon or another actor to another actor through the movies that they've been in with other actors. Only in this case we're linking movies, and we can't use Kevin Bacon. Bill Murray.
But he's not in either of these movies.
Oh, just trust me on this one, okay? Alright, so in Tim Burton's film Ed Wood, Bill Murray plays Ed's friend John Bunny Breckenridge. And because of this we get to see Bill Murray reenact scenes from Plan 9 from Outer Space in the role that Breckenridge played. Now, 8 years earlier, however, Bill Murray had a bit part portraying a role previously held by someone else also. He took on a role in a musical update to our next film that was previously held by Jack Nicholson. The movie is, of course, Roger Corman's 1960 cult classic, The Little Shop of Horrors. Okay, I guess that's a bit of a stretch. A bit of refried bacon, I suppose. But any bacon is good bacon, I guess. Right? Oh, this is disgusting! Why am I eating this? I can't eat this! I'm on a liquid diet! Must be blood. Must be fresh!
And that is why Batman and Robin is the better movie than that Nolan trilogy.
Fascinating. Oh, you're here! Thank the gods. Welcome back, creeps. Lord Damian MacDonovan here, and allow me to introduce you to Audrey 4.
What's up?
I brought Audrey in to help me compare the original and the 1986 musical version of Little Shop of Horrors, seeing as to how she is an expert.
Well, I'm only a self-proclaimed expert. I just have very strong opinions on these things.
I see. Well, then indulge us. What is it that you think sets the original on a stage above the musical version?
Well, Damian, I'm glad you asked. You know, being the third generation sport, my big green grandmother from outer space, these films are like in my blood. So I have a long history with both these films, even though none of my family was involved in the original. But despite that, Corman's film is by far the better movie. The plant, for instance, is clearly a masculine character, which means it's not panning to the uber-feminist crowd, especially prevalent at that time. It's also not an alien. I don't know why all these new versions of things have to include aliens. I mean, first Indiana Jones, American Horror Story, Star Wars, and now this.
But didn't the musical movie come out before most of those examples? And aren't you yourself an alien?
Yeah, whatever, that's not the point. The point is that plant's origins are entirely terrestrial. Seymour made this plant.
Okay, well, I think we're about out of time.
And on top of that, it doesn't just convince him to go around killing people to feed it, it hypnotizes him. He's completely innocent.
Okay, well, we have to move on now.
And not to mention the extreme differences in all the other characters. I mean, for one thing, we
Well,
actually get to see
while this leafy hipster drones on, I'm going to start up our next film. Another movie about a talking head that doesn't know when to shut up. Here on the RCN TV Halloween Horror Movie Marathon is 1959's The Brain That Wouldn't Die.
Oh, that's another one of the original's best superior over the musical.
Have you even seen the musical?
Nah.
Oh. Welcome back, my little goblins. Sorry about that, but with the RCN TV Halloween Horror Movie Marathon coming to a close, I thought I'd grab a quick bite before turning in.
Turning into what?
Shut up, Bill! Anyway, thank you for joining me this All Hallows season. I hope you've enjoyed viewing some of the classics of horror with me through the long, dark, and terror-filled night. Despite our uninvited guest earlier and our zombie outbreak, I've had a wonderful time, and I hope you have too. I know this marathon is coming to you a week earlier than last year, but hopefully you've taken the time to TiVo it, or whatever it is you do, so that you can watch it later. Maybe play it during your Halloween parties next weekend. And for more fun, don't forget to check out my Facebook, Twitter, my YouTube, and my GoFundMe campaign. I, on the other hand, am going to get some rest, so that I can attend Dracula's Ball in Philadelphia on Halloween night. Maybe I'll see some of you there. In the meantime, boys and ghouls, this is Damian MacDonovan signing off, and wishing each and every one of you a happy, fun, and safe Halloween. And if you too are just getting to bed after this long evening, don't let the bed bugs bite. That's my job. Oh, crack! What? The marathon is over! Son of a witch!